The next question is from Vince Mills of Glasgow Kelvin CLP, and it's, do you believe a new Clause 4 is necessary? And Angela, you're first.
And I think we have to talk about what people care about in our communities. No one on the door that I knocked on said, I want to talk about Clause 4 or the Labour Party rulebook. They want to talk about ending food banks in our community, giving people self-respect, giving our kids a future.
But let's not talk about government or Whitehall running our services. Let's talk about cooperatives. Let's talk about social enterprises. Let's talk about employee ownership. Let's talk about the whole plethora of not-for-profit organisations out there that could be running our services. Let's look to our councils who are doing energy cooperatives, housing cooperatives, those kinds of holiday hunger plans, those kinds of policies from the grassroots that are really transforming our country and really tackling poverty. That's what we should be talking about. It doesn't need a new Clause 4. It needs a policy platform that looks to the future, that tackles these big issues of poverty and inequality in our country and looks much, much broader than Whitehall running our services.
I mean, I liked Clause 4. I didn't want it to be removed. I campaigned not to have it removed, but do I want to go back to having that argument? No, because I think we've got other fights that we need to fight and other battles that we need to win. We've got the core strategy: campaign, organise, recruit and educate. We need to be campaigning and organising everywhere. You've got elections in 2021. We need to be focusing on that.
No, a new Clause 4 isn't necessary, and I believe so much in the power of what we need to do by standing together that actually I'm not even going to focus on Clause 4 for this answer. I am the only deputy leadership candidate who has not nominated someone for leader, because the only way we move forward and serve our communities is by fighting the Tories, not each other. Now, fundamentally, when I see kids coming in who are self-harming, we're not in the A&E, when I see children coming in who are living in substandard housing and they have lung conditions and they're dying, neither of these kids know about Clause 4. They don't care about Clause 4.
Well, I'm pleased we've got the clarity that every single deputy leadership candidate opposes my idea for a new modern Clause 4. I don't quite understand why people think that discussing things in our party amounts to fighting with each other and saying we shouldn't be allowed to discuss a new Clause 4. In that case, the party can save itself some money and cancel party conference this year, next year, the year after. If that amounts to fighting amongst ourselves, of course it doesn't. And it isn't about things which working class people can't understand. I think you've got to be careful not to patronise our communities.
Rosena, did you want to come back?
Yeah, I just wanted to come back on the point about patronising our working class communities. I am the only one that is still a public sector worker. And I'm not saying that people don't understand. I'm saying that what's important to people when they can't get their cancer chemotherapy treatment and their cancer has spread is not Clause 4. It's getting a Labour government. And I'm saying what is important is when a man comes into the A&E in the middle of the night with a drinking problem and I can't help him and there's no facility available for him and he lost his family and his job and his home, he doesn't care about Clause 4. He needs a Labour government. So that is my point. And fundamentally, people say they have lost respect for politicians because they think they're out of touch. And standing here and talking about this and saying that working class people feel patronised by us, no, they don't. Just what matters to them is not talking about Clause 4 when we need to be discussing how we get rid of the Tories and deliver a Labour government.